my achievements are just moments where things worked out. So when I thought about what I could speak to you about today, one thing stood out, which is I learned and I realized that we all set ourselves up for something, we set some goals, and most often they may not pan out the way we planned them. And so today, what I'm going to talk about are those many moments which didn't have the desired outcome. Are you all with me? Right? So there are many, many things I planned which didn't have the desired outcome, but they led to the most important learning, which is learning about myself. So I'm just here to share a couple of small things with you and hands-on. I'm not going to do slides. I'm not going to show you photographs, etc., because life is a lot more than just the visual medium. Learning is experience. Everything else is information. And learning, for me, I've always remained a student of my work. And so today, whatever I share is from a space of learning. So I hope that makes sense to all of you. So I'm going to start with the fact that I grew up in Salem, which is my hometown. Since I was 5 years old, the only thing that I wanted to do in my life was to become a veterinarian because I relate more to animals than I do to human beings. I'm a painfully shy introvert, but now I spend most of my time on stage, which I don't really enjoy. Am I making sense to everybody? Right? So I had planned to do veterinary science since I was 5. When I was 17, for a want of 2 marks, I lost my seat in veterinary science, and I had to quickly decide on doing another course because otherwise it was marriage. And I didn't want that. So psychology was something I chose because it seemed like something interesting. Believe me, it's the worst course you will take up. It's extremely boring and dry. And I did not want to study. I wanted to drop out of college in the first year. But then I said, no, then it means marriage. So between the two, psychology seemed better. And, and at the end of the course, I realized I loved it. I went to Delhi, specialized. And I did not have time to process that emotion there, which was disappointment. Because I had to make a choice and I had to keep moving. But that disappointment helped me understand that when the cards are dealt out, you'll have to figure out how to play them. Are you all with me? So that disappointment, now you call me the world-renowned psychologist. I made psychology the field that I would love. I still have dogs, I still rescue animals, and I still help people who work with animals. The second emotion that I wanted to talk about was fear. I have worked with slums, with village schools, etc. So in one of the cities, we helped children set up schools in about um, slums. When I was entering the slum, I was very young. I was about 24, 25, and very idealistic. I was entering the slum. The day I entered at 5 in the morning, they had recovered the body of a boy who had been kidnapped from an affluent school, and it was so scary because at 5 in the morning, I was welcomed into a slum with a dead body. And I was terrified, but I continued to work in the slum school. In the evening, I was interacting with the children. And as the sun was going down, it was a migrant Tamil population. So we were speaking in Tamil, the sun was going down. And I told the children, go home, otherwise they're going to kidnap you as well. I know it was in bad taste, but when I told them that, the kids told me in Tamil, and I'm sure all of you will understand, Akka, engla kootu pomatanka. I said, why will they not take you? Enga kitta duddu illaka. The children knew that they were born in poverty and they were not going to be kidnapped because nobody is going to pay a ransom. But the last child who left, he said, Akka, na nee konja paathirukka, onkitta duddu irukkudu. That whole night, I was terrified. Everything in the vicinity seemed like a kidnapper coming to get me. But that day, I stood up for my fear and I said, this fear is teaching me that life can be dangerous, but if you learn how to protect yourself, you can go places. Fear comes to teach you that there can be things that threaten your security, but you can learn how to protect yourself. It also gave me a perspective on the kind of fears that the children in the slums live with, and it helped me change the curriculum. Recently, one of the kids from that village DM'd me. It's 20 years since all of that happened. DM'd me and he said, Akka, I think you were the one who set up that school. I'm now an electrician and I'm married. I have 2 kids and they go to a very, very famous school. And I realized that day that I faced my fear to make an impact that was important. I had asked for a volunteer. Can somebody come forward, please? Yes. Could you just touch my hand and tell me what is the temperature in the hand? Can you tell me? It's quite cold. I have very severe anxiety when I go on stage. I don't enjoy it. Till I was 13, I avoided the stage except for standing in the last row in a choir or in a play or something like that. But then I became the assistant school pupil leader. I had to be on stage and I had to speak. And there are some of my shows where up to 5,000 people are in the audience, and I still have extreme anxiety when I come on stage. Our first speaker also experienced a lot of anxiety, and I'm so glad that you started the day being vulnerable. It was so important. And I'm trying to tell you that every emotion comes to you because it's trying to give you a message. My anxiety gives me the message that I have a gift. And if I have to share that gift with the world, I need to be able to overcome this. Am I making sense? I didn't stop it from limiting me. I understand that my anxiety teaches me to be in the present moment, to connect with my audience, and to understand that when nothing is working, humor will work. So I also, to compensate for the anxiety, developed a sense of humor. Am I making sense to all of you? Right? And the last 2 emotions that I want to talk about, sadness and anger. After the tsunami, I was watching the news, 2004, many of you may not have been born, but I was there looking at people losing everything. I rushed to the coast, very idealistically thinking I knew what to do in a natural disaster. When I went there and I saw the number of dead bodies all over, I had no clue what to do. I did what came to me very easily. I sat on the coast and I cried. I was sad and I was overwhelmed. And then at that point, I just heard myself say, do you also want to add to the trouble that people are already facing here? And I said, no. Then every night after that, in the community orphanages that were set up, I just held children who were crying, missing their family. And after a week or so, when that initial shock had gone, I realized that the children were facing something called betrayal. The ocean was providing for them till that day, and the ocean had taken away everything that belonged to them. And so I realized that you may not have great skills, but if you can be present to somebody in a moment of pain, that is the greatest impact that you can create in life. I know most people speak about achievements and they say, with love you can change the world. I brought these 5 emotions, disappointment, fear, anxiety, sadness, and anger, to tell you that these were the emotions that gave me the power to make a difference in the world. Am I making sense to all of you? To be able to connect to the love that will change the world, I needed to process these emotions. So I have a small set of something that I want to show you. So in our life, let's assume this tissue is like our life, okay? And there's a little bit of food color in this. Okay, I'm just going to dip this in. Okay, emotions will come to us. All kinds of emotions will come to us, and anxiety, fear, whatever will come. You just need to dip it in one corner, right? It will be absorbed. Your life, you will absorb the emotion for a bit. But after a certain point, it can no longer spread, right? When you regulate the emotion, it just moves away and your life will continue. However, because your generation spends a lot more time online and you're looking for self-assessments and tests like that, what happens is you are doing the same thing. You are letting yourself absorb the emotion. But since you go back on algorithmic content, it starts ruining your whole life. And unfortunately, many of you are self-diagnosing or getting diagnosed and treated for things that can be dealt with regulation. I know I have a very silent room here. Am I making sense to all of you? Emotions are not our enemies, and they don't need to always be diagnosed. They may hold a gift like they did for me. You may need to spend time having a routine, reflecting on what it's teaching you, and more importantly, figuring out how to regulate them. Because they can reach you to something better than yourself. Am I making sense to all of you? The second aspect of what I would like to communicate with you, this is as far as emotions go. I have a nephew, he's of course 25 now, but when he was 3 years old, the school had given him, 3 or 4 years old, the school had given him a questionnaire which said, who is your role model? And I know it was a very inappropriate question to ask a 4-year-old. He came and asked me, what is a role model? So then I told him in Tamil, நீ யார மாதிரி ஆகணும்னு கேக்குறாங்க. They want to know, who do you want to become like? And the child looked very puzzled. And he said, நான் என்ன மாதிரி ஆகணும்? Why should I be anyone else? I just need to be me. Your generation has that wisdom already. Unfortunately, the content that you're consuming online is making you believe that you need to be something else. Am I making sense to all of you? The content that you're consuming is a lot like this. Now, if I touch this food color in my hands and now I use this to touch anything else here, it is likely to stain that. Am I making sense to all of you? Right? That's what the consumer-driven algorithms are. It makes you contaminated enough to contaminate your thought and whatever else you're going through. All of you are very quiet. Am I making sense to you? So it's a lot like this, and I'm going to take this test tube. I'm going to add just probably a drop of this, right? I'm sorry if I make a mess, but okay. Now, this is what happens to your mind the moment you start consuming meaningless things. In my book, I call them mental toxins. Things that we take subconsciously but don't know that they've impacted us. But you also have a lot of intelligence, which is like your clear thoughts. Are you all with me? All you need to do is to have the ability to investigate the information that you have, dilute it, and if you spend a little more time, you can completely remove the impact of what contaminates you. Am I making sense to all of you? You can figure out what you already know, just like my nephew said, நான் என்ன மாதிரி ஆகணும்? I need to be more of you. Please find out what your superpower is. Right? You can. We will have a lot of influences, but please use your intellect. Please use what is unique to you to dilute the impact of these hateful messages that come through, limiting messages that come through. Because the greatness that I see in your generation did not exist in mine. I'm almost 50 now. In my generation, there were a lot of limitations. In your generation, I see a lot of possibilities. Are you going to remain a consumer? Do you want to become a contributor? And when I say contributor, I'm not asking you to make a podcast and start making reels. Not that level of contribution. Contribution in the real sense. With your powers. With what is unique to you. Am I making sense to all of you? Everybody is extremely silent right now. So the last part, so I talked about emotions. I talked about the impact on our thoughts. And the third and the most important, the quality of our life will be determined by the quality of the relationships that we have. Okay? Please remember, it is uncomfortable making new friendships or meeting new people. Take it from an introvert who hates people. Okay, given a choice, I'd like to just be invisible. But I also know that if I'm here today, it's because, like our first speaker today beautifully spoke, it is the impact of the community. There were a lot of people who supported me to be where I am today. Remember three important things. One relationship cannot meet all your needs, even if it's your parents or a very close friend. One relationship cannot define you. Am I making sense to you? And one relationship cannot destroy you. The power that you give to your relationships is something that you have to decide. You'll need to go out and start building relationships that can always be there for you. Okay? So if all of you can just put your hands out this way, I'd like all of you to experience it with me. Okay? So just draw an imaginary circle around yourself. Okay? The first circle is what I call the touching circle. And the space inside this touching circle is what we call your personal space. It belongs only to you, right? In the touching circle, you will have people you will trust completely and you will allow to touch you physically or emotionally. They have the power to hurt you. The second circle around that is called the good friend circle. People you know, you can trust, but you will not allow touch. They don't have the power to hurt you. The third circle is the okay people. People you will meet every day, you will interact with, but there is no trust, there is no touch. And the fourth circle, the most important, which is called the strangers. Strangers are not people you don't know. Strangers are people you know who have hurt you in the past, and you keep them at that distance because you know that they're capable of hurting you again. If you keep the people that you meet in the right circles, you will notice that the quality of your life improves. You will make mistakes, but that's okay. Can I have the volunteer again? Quickly come up. What is your name? Shweta, just stand facing the audience and close your eyes. Okay? Keep your eyes closed. I'm going to hold something really close to your eyes. When I say 1, 2, 3, you will open your eyes and without moving, you will tell me what that object is. Okay? Close your eyes. Open your eyes, Shweta. Now tell me what it is. It's a car. Driving license. At what distance did you know it was a driving license? Distance? At this distance? No. If you keep your relationships at the distance that they belong to, you will see them as clearly as they have to be. You keep somebody too close to you, it'll blind the rest of your life. One relationship should never destroy or make you. If it has to be that one relation, thank you, Shweta. If it has to be that one relationship, it has to be the relationship with yourself. Are you with me? To end, our experiences will keep making us. We'll start out as clear water, and drop by drop, your emotions, your thoughts, your relationships, your experiences will make you who you are. And it'll be very unique. The same concoction will not happen for another person. This is what the world will be, right? The world will have its own experiences. You need to bring in your uniqueness to the world. Are you with me? Has it changed color? Can you see that it's changed color? Yes. But you'll still hold your uniqueness. When you're self-aware and you take care of your emotions, thoughts, and relationships, you can still make a huge contribution to the world without changing yourself, but bringing the impact that matters. That is why today's talk, I called it the power of one. The power that you bring to the world is something that only you can bring to the world. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed the talk, and thank you for the opportunity.